What's the mental health diagnosis? I'm a licensed therapist, and today I'll walk you through 3 in-depth case studies to demonstrate the diagnostic process. I will systematically rule out various possibilities to identify the most accurate diagnosis. Please remember, this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional diagnosis or treatment. Case 1. Meet Chris, a 45-year-old factory worker who's been feeling burnt out for years. Each day he works incredibly hard to support his family, but he's been feeling numb, stuck in a state of languishing that he describes as present almost every day over the past several years. He often feels irritable, not full rage, but a level of irritation stemming from sheer exhaustion. There haven't been any major life changes and no shifts in his family dynamics. Chris sleeps poorly, averaging only about 4 hours per night, and he has been overeating for years, mainly to fill the emptiness he feels. Occasionally, he uses unhealthy coping habits to numb his emotions, though he doesn't see it as his main issue. Chris has lost joy in almost everything he once loved. He used to enjoy sports and spending time with friends, but now he isolates himself, and he describes a lingering sadness that never really goes away. Importantly, he's never had a manic episode, and there's no trauma history. Based on this information, what is his most likely diagnosis? Now, let's go through potential diagnoses and narrow them down one by one. First, let's consider bipolar 1 disorder. Bipolar 1 requires the presence of at least one manic episode characterized by elevated mood or irritable mood, often accompanied with high energy and a decreased need for sleep. Since Chris has never experienced mania, bipolar 1 doesn't fit and can be ruled out. Next, let's rule out adjustment disorder with depressed mood. Adjustment disorder requires symptoms to be tied to a specific life event or stressor, with symptoms typically resolving within 6 months of the stressor ending. Since Chris's depression has been persistent and isn't tied to a specific event, we can rule this out as well. So we're now down to 2 options: major depressive disorder or persistent depressive disorder. While major depressive disorder involves episodes of depression that may lift or lessen, Chris's symptoms are chronic and do not occur in episodes. They have been consistent over the years. This persistent points more towards persistent depressive disorder, a long-term, low-grade depression lasting at least 2 years, so the correct diagnosis is persistent depressive disorder. Case 2. Meet Ben, an 18-year-old who's been experiencing disturbing hallucinations. He hears voices that tell him the police are after him and that his food has been poisoned, leading to significant weight loss. His movements have slowed down to a catatonic state, and Ben describes having mood shifts between highs and lows. Yet, these voices and delusions persist regardless of his mood. His hallucinations occur throughout the day and night. He's also never experienced a manic episode. These symptoms have severely impacted his life. Ben has dropped out of school, can't work, and neglects his personal hygiene out of fear that the water might be poisoned. He has experienced these symptoms for about 4 months and has no other medical conditions. Based on this information, what is his most likely diagnosis? First, let's rule out bipolar 1 disorder with psychotic features. For bipolar 1 with psychotic features, the hallucinations and delusions would occur only during a manic or depressive episode. Since Ben's hallucinations are persistent and not tied to mood episodes, we can rule out bipolar 1 disorder with psychotic features. Next, let's rule out schizoaffective disorder. Schizoaffective disorder involves symptoms of both schizophrenia and a mood disorder like bipolar disorder or major depressive disorder. Ben hasn't experienced mania or major depression, so schizoaffective disorder doesn't fit. So we're down to schizophrenia or schizophreniform disorder. Although Ben's symptoms meet the criteria for schizophrenia, this diagnosis requires symptoms to persist for at least 6 months. Since Ben's symptoms have only been present for 4 months, the more accurate diagnosis is schizophreniform disorder, which shares the same criteria as schizophrenia but lasts between 1 and 6 months. Case 3. Meet Justin, a 23-year-old man who has come to therapy wanting to improve himself. He grew up in poverty, working from a young age to support his family. His mood tends to fluctuate based on his work performance. He feels a little bit sad at times, and other times he's fairly content. He maintains stable relationships and is known as a reliable friend and coworker. He has also never been incarcerated or hospitalized. Recently, Justin has been struggling with sleep, getting around 5 to 6 hours per night, though his appetite remains steady. When asked about his mood, he says he sometimes feels sad, but it never lasts more than a few hours. The most elated he's ever felt was after graduating from high school, when he celebrated all night, but then returned back to baseline the following day. Justin has no other medical issues. Based on this information, what is his most likely diagnosis? First, let's rule out bipolar 1 disorder. Bipolar 1 requires a manic episode lasting at least a week or leading to significant consequences like hospitalization or incarceration. Justin has never had mania. This diagnosis just doesn't fit and can be ruled out. Next, let's rule out bipolar 2 disorder. Bipolar 2 involves hypomanic episodes lasting at least 4 days, along with episodes of major depression. Justin hasn't had either hypomanic or prolonged depression, so bipolar 2 doesn't align with his experience. So now, we're down to cyclothymia or no diagnosis. Cyclothymia involves mild chronic mood swings between hypomanic and depressive symptoms that don't meet the criteria for full bipolar disorder. And these symptoms need to persist for at least 2 years. Since Justin's mood fluctuations are mild, situational, and don't meet the 2-year duration required for cyclothymia, no diagnosis is the most accurate conclusion for Justin. If you like this video, feel free to like it and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next one.